situation. This bill is necessary and it is urgent. Thank you.
I call the Honourable Shane Jones.
Kia ora no tātou, Mr. Speaker.
Tēnā koe.
This arguably is one of the most vexing issues that a Māori parliamentarian can stand and speak upon during their foray into the world of parliamentary politics. Firstly, on behalf of my party, sir, I'd like to have it recorded that I do support this bill to the Select Committee, but with reservations. Sir, Dover Samuels, that rather colourful colleague of ours in times gone by, 48 hours after the so-called Tūhoe raids, went to Tūhoe. He had no compunction. He suffered no doubts about going there, despite the encouragement of our then leader Helen Clark that it possibly was not the most judicious of things to do. He had family connections there, and he went there, sir, to assure the Māori members of the Labour Party that whatever happened up there, there may have been a criminal element, but it did not represent, sir, a level of egregious offending akin to international terrorism. He came back, sir, and he told us that yes, there were dramas, or rarurarus as we say in Māori, up in that part of the country, but he saw no evidence that there was a well-conceived, executable strategy to destroy the nation-state of New Zealand. Now, sir, he didn't actually gain very many fans or friends, not that they'd ever bothered him in the life of the Labour Party in times gone by. But, sir, from that small incident, I, as a Māori parliamentarian, learnt an important lesson. And the lesson is this, sir. When many of our young Māori say the largest gang in New Zealand is the police, I tend to poo-poo that idea. Because I, rightly or wrongly, sir, believe in the notion that the constabulary are there to effect public safety. And that, sir, they do operate within the confines of the law. And when we feel, sir, that our rights have been infringed or the law may have been broken, then we are the first, sir, to reach either to call those of the Māori folk we know in the police force or the local policemen. But, sir, let history record that this particular incident, where a group of New Zealand trusted officials called the police decided to don the garb akin to the SAS operating in Afghanistan and move into the sleepy valleys of Tūhoe to arrest possible developments which belong in the mythology and the stories of Al-Qaeda, that the police made an egregious error that day, sir. Now, the courts may show that Tamaiti and others, sir, deserve to be charged and eventually, sir, convicted, but leave that for the courts. The key point, sir, that a Māori parliamentarian is entitled to make about this issue is that we trusted the police. We trusted the most powerful policeman in the country, Howard Broad. And we were prepared to rely on his judgment because, sir, it's wrong for any government, irrespective of the flavour of its Māori presence, to politicise the police force. God knows, sir, there are many opportunities where a politician or a minister might be tempted to tell a regulator, can you tie ho? This party, sir, did not put that pressure on Howard Broad when he and his officials, in particular a unit located in Auckland, who became possessed of the view that elements from the Pākehā community, possibly the Greenie community, and Hapu of Tūhoe were conceiving a plot to destroy the nation-state of New Zealand. And, sir, that particular act must not go unchallenged. Now, sir, it comes to this evening as to what are we to do, because the highest court in the land, as Rodney Hyde has correctly pointed out, is the Supreme Court, the actual legislature of which you and I, sir, populate. We are the legislature. The judiciary construes the law that we make, sir, and the bureaucracy of the executive, we rely upon it to execute the law. Now, sir, we have almost an existential tension between what the highest court in the land has said, that the police have consistently, in this case, behaved in a way that is illegal. But there are cases, sir, that it could actually worsen the quality of life of New Zealanders if we don't enable the police to effectively prosecute these villains and criminals. But, sir, I have taken the effort to find the Bill of Rights in this bill. The Bill of Rights passed by Geoffrey Palmer in his time. So the Bill of Rights is something worth fighting for as a parliamentarian. It is a clarion call that those of us who are parliamentarians, we place at the point of primacy the liberties, the freedoms and the interests, sir, of citizens. And it's nothing that brings us into disrepute, sir, if we are incapable of calling the police to operate under the same standards. Now, sir, we want this bill to go to the Select Committee, but let no New Zealander think that parliamentarians, and I'm prepared to say even on that side of the House, sir, that no parliamentarian wants to hand over a blank cheque or unfettered authority to, sir, the police force. They have a difficult job to do, sir, but we also have an arduous task in front of us. And, sir, the courts already have enough discretion. Sir, the courts already have enough authority to make a call as to whether or not evidence in particularly gross cases can be admitted to effect a successful prosecution. Now, sir, when the courts have this level of discretion, it's not unreasonable for a parliamentarian to expect the judge of a court to exercise it. Now, sir, in exercising it, we may not like the results that they've delivered. Sir, I wasn't a parliamentarian at the time, but I was quite surprised with the vigour that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court delivered in terms of her seabed and foreshore takutai moana judgment. I only raise that, sir, because there are certain resonances with that decision a year or two prior to the 2005 election and this decision quite close to the 2011 election. And, sir, it focuses our attention on what is worth defending. It is worth, sir, defending that if the government of the day wants to pass law that has retrospective impact, that does potentially, sir, curbs the rights and freedoms and liberties of citizens, that we should stand up for that. After all, sir, these are the characters who actually vote for us. The institution of the police force does not vote for us, sir. They may as citizens, but their advocates, Mr. O'Connor and others, have a different agenda. So, sir, this bill ought to go to the Select Committee, and it may come to pass that something can be cobbled together. Because at the end of the day, sir, it's going to be between the two major parties if we develop a sustainable deal, in inverted commas. Because whether it's them or us, someone's going to have to fix this problem. But there are some deep principles that are worth fighting for here, sir. No group in New Zealand ought to feel that they are either above the law or, having not operated within the law, that they can usher an agenda into our legislature and have it, sir, limply passed. The role of an opposition is to hold the ministers and the government to account, and indeed the police. Justify why you want retrospective power. And if it passes, sir, the court of public opinion, and if it passes, sir, with our threshold of tolerance, then it enjoys the broad support of, sir, this legislature. And that's something worth fighting for. And what better time, sir, to debate it, what better time to distill the essential arguments than 9 to 10 weeks from an election, sir. So we will support, sir, this particular bill, and I am confident with the spirit of goodwill we'll find a balance between what the state needs, sir, to effect its enforcement powers and what the legislature, sir, needs in order to be a credible House of Representatives. So I look forward, sir, to hearing what submitters may say, but more importantly, enjoying the experience of seeing a commingling of goodwill between that side of the House and the Labour Party to effect a sustainable outcome for this very sad episode, i.e. where a number of people have been through hell. Most of them have been released. The remaining number, 4 or 5, they unfortunately for them will have to face the music, and only the facts, sir, will liberate them. But we must not deprive individual citizens of further liberty through the unfortunate passage of poor legislation. Kia ora tātou.
I call the